Life Unlimited Coaching channel. This is Coach Kayla, and today I'm going to talk about starting with sustainability, okay, when it comes to your fitness and nutrition. I've had 2 or 3 conversations the last 3 days with people who were exploring my program or thinking about joining my program, or we were doing like a free game plan assessment thing. And 2 of the 3 women that I talked to both said something along the lines of, well, one of them specifically, she said, I'm trying to lose weight. I think she had about 30 pounds to lose, something like that, which is about average. Most of the women that come to us, they're looking to lose about 30 pounds. Sometimes it's closer to 50, sometimes it's closer to 20, but that seems to be kind of the happy zone that most women come to us wanting to lose. And she said, well, I'm looking to lose the weight. And so I've just been cutting out some foods. And I said, well, what foods are you cutting out? And she said, well, I really love pasta and I really love bread. And so I'm just not eating those. And, and I'm just not losing any weight. And I said, okay, so let me just reframe what you just said. I love these foods. And so I'm going to eliminate them from my diet so that I can lose weight. That's basically what she's doing, right? And I know we've all heard that bread, blah, 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 carbs are the devil right now and all that stuff. But ultimately, what I was trying to get her to realize is that she may be able to cut out pasta and bread for a short period of time, right? Maybe even months, okay? Maybe even a year. But the likelihood of her being able to say, hey, I am an 81-year-old and I have not had carbs or pasta for the last 40 years of my life because I decided at 42 that I was going to eliminate them so that I could lose weight is why would you do that, right? You wouldn't, and you wouldn't think of it that way. And so it's funny to me how often that's how we approach it. Okay, we approach it in like, I'm going to do this very miserable, terrible, awful thing just so that I can achieve this particular weight goal. But then, everything will be hunky-dory because then I'll be able to eat pasta and bread again. But that's not really how it works, right? And so in our coaching program, we start with the end in mind, meaning like not the end goal as in I want to weigh 150 pounds. I'm talking about what do you want your life to look like at that particular moment when you weigh 150 pounds or whatever the actual goal is. What is your life? What do you want it to look like? Okay. And when you actually decide who you want to become, not what you want to achieve, but who you want to become and how you want to become that person, it goes a lot deeper and a lot further than just some number on the scale. Okay. And so when I say we're starting with sustainability, I'm talking about how can we incorporate pasta and bread, if those are your things, while still getting the results that you want so that you can actually live life pretty normally for the most part and still be the person you need to be to achieve the things you need to achieve. Because ultimately, it usually has nothing to do with the number on the scale and has everything to do with who you were and how you felt and what you were doing when you weighed that, what you were able to do when you weighed that, okay? Because a lot of women come to us and they're like, I want to get down to 150 because that's what I was before I had kids. And back then I was playing softball. I was doing basketball. I was super active. I felt amazing. I felt confident when I looked in the mirror. Like, it has nothing to do with the fact that she weighed 150 pounds and has everything to do with the fact that she was doing all of these things. She was happy. She was confident. She could look in the mirror and she felt more like herself. And in the 180-pound body that she's in right now, she doesn't feel like herself. She's tired all the time. She doesn't feel confident when she looks in the mirror. She can't do the things that she wants to do, right? And so if you start with who you want to become at that 150, I guarantee it's not someone who never eats bread and pasta. It's probably someone who eats bread and pasta, in a way that still keeps her at 150 pounds or whatever the feeling is that we're trying to achieve. Do you see what I'm saying? And so instead of giving you this nutritional and fitness protocol that is miserable and terrible just to help you hit some weight, we just help you create the life that you actually want. And then by doing that and teaching you actually the principles of nutrition and helping you track your macros and helping you get workouts in that you enjoy and helping you do all of those things, the building blocks, right? Monitoring your intake, your food quality, your food quantity, your activity levels, your sleep, all that stuff by help and the stress and going through the mindset blocks. If we do all of those things, we start building this sustainable lifestyle that actually makes sense. And the day that you weigh 150 or whatever your goal weight is, you wake up and it's kind of irrelevant that you're there because you're going to keep going, doing the same things you've been doing because this is just who you are now. This is who you've become. The thing about this process, though, is that it takes much, much longer than 3 months or 2 months or 21 days or 6 months even. There are people that are with us that have been with us for almost 3 years now or longer, and they're still working on all of this stuff and still getting used to who they are now and who they're trying to become. Because a transformation like that does not happen in short bursts of time. It happens over long periods of time. And the women who come to us and recognize that they need to be able to commit to themselves, it has nothing to do with us. They're committing to themselves. We're just the guides, right? But you have to follow, you have to do the work, you have to walk the path. We just show you the way to go, right? The women that do the best come to us and they say, I'm going to follow them until I get to the destination I know I need to be at. But only you know what destination that is. For some people, it is a goal weight, but for most people, it's a feeling. It's a feeling. It's a who. It's a who you are when you look in the mirror. It's a what you're able to do, not a number. There's really not a defined destination. And then what's cool is once you get there, it's a lot easier to maintain it because you weren't shooting for some random obsolete target like a weight. You're shooting for who you are. And so suddenly you are a person who works out daily, if not like three to 5 times a week, consistently, works out consistently. You're a person who eats healthy because they know what food actually does for them and how to use it as fuel. Good and bad foods, right? Whatever that means. I hate those, by the way. So what I'm saying is, if you start with sustainability and think about how you actually want to live your life and who you want to become and what that looks like and what you want to be able to do, the pressure on hitting some number on the scale is almost irrelevant because you can weigh 20 pounds heavier, look amazing, feel amazing, be more capable and more confident, right? Because of what you're able to do. And you can be at the same fitness level that you were at whatever goal weight you think it is, but because we helped you actually build muscle or feel better or block these mindset shifts that we've all been fed our whole lives, that a healthy woman only weighs 120 pounds or whatever. It just helps break all these beliefs. And so my big ask for you today is, if you are starting a health journey and you are trying to lose weight and you're trying to achieve a specific desired outcome, what's the real outcome? Because it's not a weight. It's really not. It may not even be a look, okay? It's a who. Who were you when you were that? If you're trying to get back to something, especially, write down all of that, okay? Part of the problem with what we do is people who come to us that have never been where they think they want to be, it's a lot harder for them to get there because it's unknown territory and it's really, really scary. And so they sometimes block themselves, like self-sabotage, because they don't realize, like, it just gets too scary. And your body and your mind is trying to protect you from unknown territory. Okay. But our whole job as coaches is to help you take one step into the darkness at a time. And by darkness, I mean just This is unfamiliar. So we take you one step at a time into unfamiliar territory until you realize that like the darkness wasn't scary at all, right? It was just unfamiliar. So when you're writing out what you want, figure out what it is that you really want, because it's not a weight, I promise. It may be a look, but genuinely it's a feeling. Or a who, like who were you? What were you able to do? What was different then? And if you don't know because you've never been there, then you have to fabricate it in your brain, which is hard, but write it out. There's business goals that I'm working on and I've never been there. So it is scary. I don't know what it's going to feel like. And I think a lot of times in life in general, people do it with relationships too. Okay. So like we enter this unfamiliar territory and we're not really sure. We almost don't like it because it's, even though we like it, it's like our body's like, well, we've never been here before. I'm going to, this is unsafe. It's just an interesting way of like perceiving what's going on. So especially if you like get really good and you get really far at a particular thing, it's really easy for us to self-sabotage because we were good enough before. And pushing that boundary and pushing that limit, oftentimes you need coaching to get through it. So, but that's your homework assignment. Write out who you want to be. You may have to fabricate it, and that's okay. But the more you start to believe that's who you want to become, the easier it's going to be. And the more you can picture it and visualize it, the easier it's going to be once you get there or once you get close, because it won't be so scary. Okay. Anyway, hope this was valuable, and I hope you have a great day.